It seems very strange that someone could have a career in the entertainment field for over 60 years and not have one person in his field have anything bad to say against him. But that seems to be the case for Tony Bennett. And the more I learn about him, the more I see why everyone from Elton John to Aretha Franklin to Willie Nelson to Amy Winehouse wanted to collaborate with him when he was working on his Duets albums. And he wanted to work with Amy Winehouse too, as well as help her get through a few things of her own. And we'll get to that and a little more in this video. But first, if you like hearing stories about the top entertainers from the 1900s, subscribe and comment "I subscribe" in the comment section so that I can say hello to you. Now, on to why you are here. Tony Bennett was born Anthony Dominic Benedetto on August 3, 1926, in the Astoria neighborhood of Queens, New York. His last name, Benedetto, translates to the blessed one in Italian, and the name seems to fit. He comes from meager beginnings. His father was very ill for a long time before he died when Tony was only 10 years old. This left Tony's mother a widow and a single mother to 3 children, which was a hard life to navigate in the 1930s. His mother, Anna, worked long hours as a seamstress, earning a penny a dress to put food on the table for Tony and his siblings. Thankfully, they had help from extended family. Tony's aunts and uncles would come visit every Sunday to help out his mother. When they would come over, he would sing for them and show them his artwork. Everyone told him that his art was beautiful, and so was his voice. As a child, he had a passion for those two things, his music and his painting, and he remains passionate about those two things. Like a lot of men Tony's age, he served in World War II. He was shocked by some of the racism that he encountered while serving in the military. He had an incident in which he was allowed to invite a guest to dinner at his hotel. He happened to invite a black friend and was reprimanded for it. He said that his army captain called him out and cut off his corporal stripes and threw them to the ground and, quote, put me on grave duty. I had to pick up dead bodies to register them. That affected my whole being, end quote. I can imagine that it did. This video is not by any means a full-scale documentary on the life of Tony Bennett. That being said, I now have to fast forward through many parts of a phenomenal, decades-long career. It was Bob Hope who told the man born as Anthony Benedetto to change his stage name. Anthony had been using the name Joe Barry as his entertainment name, and Bob Hope told him to just shorten his real name, Anthony Benedetto, to Tony Bennett. And he did, and from there, he became one of the biggest stars of the 1950s and 1960s. He has won 15 Grammys. He has sung for 11 presidents of the United States, more than any living artist. He is just amazing. But he did hit a rough patch in his career and personal life in the 1960s and 1970s, when he was having a hard time dealing with the assassinations of fellow civil rights activists and friends, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. And not only that, rock and roll music was becoming more popular, and the age demographic upon whom he had built his career started to see Tony Bennett as old and outdated. His smooth voice and jazzy sound became something for their parents. In his book called All the Things You Are, The Life of Tony Bennett, he made some startling confessions about his downward spin in the 1970s that he calls the darkest period of his life. He lost a record contract with Columbia Records, and from there, he plunged into debt. He owed $1.2 million in debt, which was even more of a fortune than it is now. And at least half of his debt was back taxes. Already burdened with debt, the 1970s wasn't halfway done with Tony Bennett yet. In 1977, on Thanksgiving Day, his mother, Anne, passed away. He turned more recklessly to drugs for relief: marijuana, pills that he referred to as uppies, downies, and sleepies, and cocaine. He needed relief. He had gotten so out of hand that there was a period where he would get so high that his temper would get out of control and he would yell at musicians backstage, but his audiences could hear him. Then, in 1979, Tony Bennett's lowest point came when he accidentally overdosed on cocaine and passed out in his bathtub. Thankfully, his second wife, Sandy, arrived home in time enough to rush him to the hospital before he died. Quick side note about Sandy, her real name was Sandra. Tony Bennett was married to his first wife, Patricia Beach, when he met his second wife, Sandy. His first marriage ended in divorce due to his infidelity. Patricia, his first wife, sued him for divorce on the grounds of infidelity. Now, I'm not saying that he was cheating on the first wife with the second wife, but I'm also not saying that he wasn't. Back to the story. Lenny Bruce was a very edgy, ahead of his time, stand-up comedian who was coming into his fame around the same time that Tony Bennett came into his. He died of a drug overdose in 1966, ironically, on Tony Bennett's birthday, August the 3rd. Oddly enough, it was something that Lenny Bruce's manager told Tony Bennett that made Tony Bennett stop using drugs. In a conversation about Lenny Bruce's overdose and death, the manager told Tony that Lenny sinned against his talent. And according to Tony Bennett, quote, "That sentence changed my life. I've been given this gift. I know how to sing and perform. I'm sinning against this gift, and I thought, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I just stopped. I had to, because I thought I was going to lose everything. It was said at the right moment, at the right time." End quote. And that was it. Tony Bennett quit drugs cold turkey, just like that. No counseling, no clinics, no detox, no helplines, no specialists, no rehab. Speaking of rehab, chances are, if you know any songs at all by Amy Winehouse, Rehab is one of them. Amy Winehouse was someone who Tony Bennett admired a lot. Before her untimely death due to alcohol poisoning, Tony Bennett said of her, quote, "Of all of the contemporary artists I know, she has the most natural jazz voice, but I'm worried about her and I'm praying for her. She'd help everyone by sobering up and cleaning up her spirituality." End quote. I would venture to guess that he saw what we all were seeing in Amy Winehouse, an extremely talented woman who either appeared to be focused and singing beautifully, or a woman so high and so drunk at times that we wondered if she would live to see the next day. Amy Winehouse was a huge Tony Bennett fan. Much to her surprise, Tony Bennett was the one who presented her with her Record of the Year Grammy in 2008 for Rehab. After that moment, she said, quote, "I was in shock, not because I had won the Grammy, but because Tony Bennett had said my name," end quote. And he admired her as well. So much, in fact, that he asked her to record with him on his Duets II album. And of course, she agreed to it. They recorded Body and Soul together. He said that he got to tell her that he heard the influence of Dinah Washington in her voice, and that amazed Amy, who considered Dinah Washington to be her goddess. Tony Bennett said that Amy sang beautifully at that recording session, and he got the chance to give her the compliments that he wanted to give her. But he regrets not taking a moment to warn her about her alcohol and drug addiction. He wanted to tell her, quote, "You gotta stop, because if you don't, you're gonna die," end quote. Cary Grant, classic Hollywood leading man, and the first person to buy one of Tony Bennett's paintings, told Tony that he should play the London Palladium for his 85th birthday. So, when Tony Bennett got in his 80s, he made plans to do just that. He wanted Amy Winehouse to perform with him there. But unfortunately, on July 23rd, 2011, she was found in her home in North London, dead. She drank herself to death. Tony would never get to invite her to perform with him at the Palladium. Her last recording would be Body and Soul, her duet with Tony Bennett. Recorded on March 23, 2011, exactly 4 months before she died. The single was released worldwide on September 14, 2011, on what would have been her 28th birthday. Tony had admitted on more than one occasion that he regrets not having pulled Amy Winehouse to the side to talk to her about her substance abuse. But we can never be sure that his words would have gotten the desired effect. So I do hope that he's able to let that regret go. After her death, Tony Bennett said, quote, "She was an extraordinary musician with a rare intuition as a vocalist. When we recorded together, she gave a soulful and extraordinary performance. I was honored to have the opportunity to sing with her," end quote. Hopefully, he can live peacefully with that memory, and perhaps we can take his words as a reminder to tell the people we love the things that we want to tell them while they are still here with us. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ty Said What Ty Said channel. Please leave a thumbs up and comment so that we can get a discussion going. And share this video on all of your social media, especially your Facebook. That really helps me out a lot. And subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know when my next video is ready for you. And if you don't like what I'm saying, but you love it, feel free to hit that applaud button just below your video screen there and send me some
donations.
Yeah, baby. See you on the next video.